Welcome to the Big Biz Show, featuring insight, analysis, and a lot of stuff that's none of your business.
Hold on. This is the Big Biz Show. I think it is their business.
Making the markets work for you. Here's the man with the plan, Sully.
Hey there, live from the Watt 100 studio in sunny San Diego, California. Big Biz Show's on the air. Good to have you along today. I've always said that minimum wage is a great intention and a horrible idea. It really is. And I always say it's like cutting off the top of the blanket and sewing it on the bottom of the blanket. Because three things will happen with the stroke of a pen. You can make someone worth more. You're going to see businesses do one of three things. They will either A, raise their prices. So great, you're making more money and you're paying more money.
Yeah.
Cutting off the top of the blanket, sewing on top of the blanket. Okay?
Yep.
B, that dry cleaner that is making $60,000 a year ain't going to make $59,999 a year.
Yep.
He will fire people or raise prices. Or he'll go out of business.
Yeah.
Okay? Minimum wage was never meant to be a living wage. Minimum wage was meant to be jobs that taught us how to go to work.
Yeah.
Taught us how to
Right
be
out of college.
Oh, no, teenagers.
No, teenagers.
Yeah,
teenagers.
Yeah, it's high school, you know?
And I can tell you, I don't want to say to be living in poverty, but the truth of the matter is most people on minimum wage are not living in poverty. Most people on minimum wage, it's a second job, and most people on minimum wage, it's a family, so I could buy extra grills. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a side hustle that they're getting minimum wage for. I know a family where they're living in a very affluent area, but they refuse to squander, so she works at a, it's a bakery, but it provides bread to Los Angeles. You know, like one of those. And I think she gets minimum wage, and she takes up 20. It's like the greeters at my Aunt Sharon if you're ever up in Colville, Washington. She's a greeter up there at the Walmart, right? She doesn't need the money.
Yep.
But she does her side hustle. You know, allows me to fly down and see your mother.
Yep.
You know, that type of stuff.
Yep.
So the real effect of this thing, and I'm not trying to be political, I'm just giving you economics. Are you seeing customer service? We're going to have Shep Hyken on the show here. No, we had Shep Hyken last week. Yeah. Are you seeing customer service diminish because of the fact that we are now paying people that may not be worth the amount of money they're paying just to get them in the door? And number two, if you are the Subway sandwich business, okay? You got the guy making the sandwiches, right? You got the guy who owns a business, making the sandwiches. Then you got the guy who's the manager of the guys making the sandwiches, right? You got a manager and some employees.
Yeah.
The manager's making $15 an hour, and now you raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. What happens next? They're making the same money, or do you have to raise this guy's money? Right?
Manager's got to go up.
The law of unintended consequences is harming.
It is 20 now in some of these places, in
And the
fast
point
food in California.
And the point is, it is minimum wage is a great intention.
Yeah.
It's a horrible idea. And the problem that we're seeing as consumers, this is a business owner perspective, okay? Consumer perspective, we're getting worse service. Are you noticing that your service is worse?
Terrible. Ever since COVID, I'm telling you, service has been terrible.
The service in some McDonald's is now a kiosk. And the only
There is no service.
the only human interaction.
No, they just had a bad personality, Mike. It was a real person.
You're getting is 6:37. That is it.
Yeah.
That is it.
Oh, yeah.
And the one I love is you go into your favorite sandwich place and you order your sandwich and then you pay and they spin the little monitor around and your choices for a tip are 20, 22, and 25.
Can we talk about this? This is important.
And it's like, here's a tip. Don't stick your face in
Okay,
the
wait a second. Hold on a second. Wait a
Have
second.
a good day.
Okay, let's talk about tipping for just 1 second.
Yes.
Okay. This will be a longer conversation, I'm sure. In fact, we can bring it on to the next break. What is your standard walk in the door, start off tip? Because in my opinion, you start off here and it's yours to lose.
Yes.
Yes.
We'll talk about more of that stuff in the case.
But that's for people that wait on you. Not for people.
I'm telling you, there's people climbing through their televisions right now. I want to talk about that.
I know. This is a big one. The turnaround of the little kiosk for someone that did nothing for me. But then I'm afraid they're going to.
I was a waiter for so long. I had a big button that says, tipping is not a city in China. 15%, mister. 15%, mister. Big Biz Show. See you in a minute. Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Welcome to the Big Biz Show, featuring insight, analysis, and a lot of stuff that's none of your business.
Hold on. This is the Big Biz Show. I think it is their business.
Making the markets work for you. Here's the man with the plan, Sully.
You're going there, you're paying for a business. They make you like do half the job now. I don't get it. Like I walk in, hey, let me get a turkey sandwich, lettuce, tomato on rye with mayonnaise. The guy behind the counter's like, all right, turkey sandwich, lettuce, tomato on rye. Yeah, and mayonnaise. Oh, the mayonnaise is it's right over there. Really? Why don't you fucking go over there and put it on my sandwich? You get it? I'm on this side of the register. Guy who orders the sandwich, guy who fucking makes the sandwich. You get it? I'm sorry they fired the mayonnaise guy, but I'm not doing it. I just gave you 100% of the money to make 100% of the sandwich. This isn't like a relay race. You make half the sandwich, then you hand it off to me. I run over, I throw a pickle on it, frisbee it over to my mom. She sticks an olive with a toothpick in it. Do you recognize me? It's because I don't work here, all right? Just make the sandwich.
Big Biz Show. Oh, who doesn't love Bill Burr?
Oh my
Big Biz
God!
Show,
Reality.
So, of course, you can imagine what he was saying during those bleeps there.
Yeah.
This is what you were talking about on the A block, right? Is it?
Yeah.
Is that you go to the place to get the sandwich, right?
Right. Just that, and then they spin it. Credit card.
What did you say? Three minutes for a? What did you say? 3 minutes for a?
Maybe 3 minutes.
Yeah.
To take it.
Yeah.
And that's being generous.
Right.
And then you get a 20, 22, 25% option to tip.
I push the other, and then I push $1.
See, that's aggressive.
I feel like they're staring at me, and I feel the pressure.
This is like when you unsubscribe to an email, and you have to answer questions well.
Oh.
Right. Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even think about just like, no, I'm gone. And then don't say, thank you for unsubscribing. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to.
Exactly.
Very small print. Hey, before you go, we just want to make sure you know. Yeah. Hey, we.
And then the next one says, because let me tell you why I'm doing this. Off topic real quick.
Yeah.
But I've spent probably 2.5 hours since Monday unsubscribing.
Yeah.
Oh.
And now I woke up
Feels
this morning.
really good.
I woke up this morning with 8 emails.
Oh, beautiful.
Woke up with 8.
Clean.
Now, I had 8 when I left. I had 8 when I left to come to the studio today. I've got 31 now. Okay.
Okay.
No, but listen, it's better than 81.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce. Thanks, Mary.
Hey, it's probably a referral. Answer that one.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's no. Anyway. So anyway, back to what is the remedy? I mean, can you vote with your feet? Because I like going to some of these places sometimes.
And I love rewarding.
Like, Greg and I went to a place called Fish 101 here in San Diego, and the reason I say the name is we love it.
Yeah.
I love
Fabulous. Give them a plug.
It's so good, and it's basically You'd love it. Arugula,
I love it.
Arugula, fish, water.
It's great.
You know? In fact, have you tried the water that says death by water?
Liquid death.
Liquid death.
Yeah. Water, so good. But I mean, I like all these places. Now, that's not one of the places I have a problem with, but there's some place I like to go to.
Yep.
But it's like, God dang, are you serious?
Well, if they're not serving you, so let's take a poll. Who does tip on those little devices
I do
when
all
they
the
turn it around?
I do.
But do you do a custom tip or you just put the 20?
I do a custom
I do
tip.
custom.
Yeah, I do a custom tip. 20%'s aggressive.
Vance,
I've
And
been-
especially
You guys
to
do it?
start there,
Everyone does it?
right? Like,
So
I like the places who, speaking of Fish 101, if you order online, the first option they give you is 10% for a carryout.
Okay.
That's acceptable.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
decent.
Because I know somebody is back there making it. I want to
Sure.
reward them.
And they're
I
going to
understand
spit
they're
in
not
your food
serving.
if you don't tip
What do you guys start with? JMO.
10%, I think 10%.
Ban, what do you start? I start with 15 or 20%, and then it's theirs to lose. Is that about right?
Yeah, 15 to 20 is good.
Is that about you? Right?
25 for me.
But that you're talking
Takeout.
service.
Are you talking takeout? You do that?
Either way.
So for me, I will tell you this.
I'm
my
feeling
other
like a guilty.
So I'm a standard guy. I'll just say this. I've been very blessed. I'm a standard guy that if I'm at a coffee place, I'm going to give you $5. If I'm at a lunch place, I'm going to give you $5. I overtip because first of all, if I go back there again, you know, I start knowing the people after a while. You know, and you start realizing what their family story is after a while.
Drink gets to you a little
I'm the guy who gives
quicker.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who give you, hey, have a Sully guitar pick here.
Yeah.
Buy yourself a set of tires.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, honestly. And
Or Sully, we have these leftover scones. Why
now,
don't you take one
at the
on
same
us?
time here is that there's two, I think, schools of thought, at least in my mind, about when they give you bad service. One of them is tip them anyway.
Make them feel guilty?
Well, if they're here's the risk you run, that they could be obtuse about the horrible service they brought you. I mean, I've had some really bad service at some points where that's crazy, just like rude type thing.
Yeah.
You know? And you will not lose me as a friend faster than if you're mean to a waiter or waitress, in my mind. I spend so much time. So there's two schools of thought. How do you demonstrate to those workers who so desperately depend on tips, okay, that so if they do great, I'll tip 50%. Again, I've been very blessed.
Yes.
But what do you do? Because I have sort of this thing, it's yours to lose, but I never seem to lose them because I never know how to give that lesson. Is there a way to do that?
You write a note on the receipt and say,
Well, okay, well,
why?
no,
Because the manager's
that
gonna
is right
see
on
the
your playbook.
receipt.
Have you
maybe
ever
that's a
done
Karen
that?
thing
Have
to
you-
That's a
do it.
Karen thing to do.
Isn't it a
I
Karen thing?
don't know if I've done that, no. But one time I was in a big group and it was terrible service. Took 40 minutes to get the first drink order.
But how big was your group?
Maybe 15 people, 12 people.
Okay.
But it was, you know, anyway, it was a terrible service. Food was bad, service was bad, everything was bad. So we did not a good tip, 10%.
Did he understand why, or she
They
understand why?
chased us. The waitress chased us to the parking
Well,
lot.
that's a whole other conversation. When they
Yeah.
chase the see, at that point, it's and what did you say?
We had left, and my one friend was stuck there.
Was on the
She'll
phone.
never forgive me for leaving.
She's hanging out with talking to the
She's
bartender on the
"It
way
was
out. That was
bad
teacher from
service." No,
Pratt.
She told the girl, she said, it was really bad service. I'm sorry. We came to the group conclusion that we were not going to tip more than 10% because it wasn't just one thing. It was 10 different things.
Okay, so my dichotomy there is, and James, you have to join me on this, because I start at the intention of it's yours to lose, but I never let them lose. What do you do when you start, if it's just horrible service or something? Do you?
One time that happened.
Okay.
One time.
And what did you do?
I took the money back. I said, hey, look, I tipped you really well, and you gave me horrible service.
And so you were open and honest about it.
And straight
Boy,
up.
there's an interesting philosophy.
Yeah.
Being open. That's actually, I'm hearing you say that and said, why not just sit and tell them, rather than run out of the restaurant as fast as you can, get in your cars.
That's
and
what
leave.
we might have been a little drunk.
Listen, you were holes and elbows.
We were like 4 bottles deep too. So, you know, I think that we weren't in the.
Were you fleeing the restaurant or were you leaving the restaurant?
Probably both. This was many years ago.
I started 18% before tax. That's
And by the
my
way,
Mendoza line.
And I don't expect everybody. I mean, look at it. It's your own because some of you just can't afford it, right?
Right.
On the other side, say if you're going to go out to dinner, make sure you can afford an extra.
But I love telling a server.
You did a great job.
I do love
you
that.
kicked
I
ass,
overtip.
and I will go the extra mile and go, we need to speak to your manager now. And they're like, oh my God, and they freak out like, what did I do wrong? And then whoever it is comes over and saying, this is one of the greatest assets of your restaurant.
Yeah.
I hope you know that.
Yeah.
And, they're like, oh, thank you.
I overtip
And then you
because
follow it
I
up
can't
with, and
afford it.
because of that, I just gave him $1 tip.
4 quarters.
Right.
Good job, Skippy. I'm firework, boys.
You pulled a Judge Smales on him. Flick him a couple quarters.
Oh my
Daddy.
God.
No, so okay, so what we're saying here is for service, 20%.
Yeah, I think so.
I do too. I agree, 100%.
For
Unless
crappy
it's
ser-
good.
and for crappy
Unless it's
service,
good, you
be
can even go a little. You can go a
For
little
crappy
above.
service, be communicated.
Good, you go over.
You yank it off the table in front of us.
Versus like Mary, Mary slapping leather out the door.
But the whole carry out thing. That's where you have.
I think for carry out 10 is.
I agree. 10 to 15.
Okay, we have a whole nother segment on bell service because I just came back from a hotel.
All right.
Bell service.
We have to talk about that.
Tipping for the bag.
Mike was thinking you were saying bail service.
I was going to go, yeah, been there. Beautiful, sunny Southern California. That's where we are in the Loft 100 studios because it's the Big Biz Show. We continue rolling along here. Mike Costner, Mary Bert Godwin, Greg Todorov, and the man right there, Sully.
Great to have you along today. The DTT up there on the stage.
Love that. Love that.
You know, Shep Hyken, who I just love, I met when I started my keynote speaking career back in 2017. He is the Chief Amazement Officer of Shepard Presentations. He is one of the guys that probably put me on the road to that part of my career. Author of several books, but he's also the customer service expert. And we've been talking about tipping, and we've been talking about customer service in past shows. And I know it gets everybody. So what do we end up on? What do we end up? 20%.
20% for service and
communication and straightforward communication. Not running your ass out the back door with your girlfriends and leave them 10%.
That was one time.
Getting in your car and go.
No, I'm not. We're not talking about pulling a Mary.
Yeah, pulling a Mary. Right.
Proper people.
Yeah, proper people.
Shep, we're going to bring you in right now. Shep, is there? I know customer service is. I mean, you are so advanced, tip of the spear, more than anyone else. My God, look at those guitars. You did it on he did that on purpose.
Got more now than he.
I have to ask you.
This is not a background.
I know it's not. No,
Yeah,
we
it's the
talked about
real
this.
deal.
No, in fact, we talked about that Stratocaster before.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this real quick.
Okay.
Tipping. Now, where does this fall in the world of customer service in terms of businesses that you consult? Because many of their workers depend on these tips. But do you ever is this something that's never brought up?
You know, unfortunately, I mean, there's been. I think it's out of control right now. Tipping, if you remember, and I don't know if it's true or not, but TIPS was an acronym to ensure prompt service.
Oh, no
and
kidding.
You would tip. And this was the rumor. I don't know if it's true, but this is what I read, and I read it on the internet.
So it makes it true. Come on.
Exactly. But you would tip before the meal, not after the meal.
Ooh,
interesting concept. Now, have you seen?
Wait. I would do that. I have no problem with it. And then give them a little scooch at the end.
Yeah.
And by scooch at the end, Mike, give me more money.
I was going to say, not a slap and tickle.
Hold up the $20 bill, tear it in half, and hand it to him and say, "You want the other half?"
Oh, I love it. There you go.
Yeah. Or whatever the number is, you know.
Right.
Well, so that's so it's gone out of hand. We were talking earlier today. That some of these companies are putting out their, you know, when they flip the screen
iPad.
around. Little iPad, and it starts at
flip.
It starts at guilt by flip.
It is.
It starts at 20%.
Yeah, I'm going to flip you off.
That's the way I feel sometimes.
Right.
It's 20 to 22 or 23 to 25.
25?
It starts at 25 sometimes. It's ridiculous. And you know, you've got people behind you. You're going, okay, I'm going to have the custom tip, push the number, put it in there, and then, you know, you look like a jerk when you're doing it, and you feel this pressure.
I do.
It really gets bad. I went to recently, there was a stand from a local food merchant. It was completely self-service.
Oh.
There was a person there to help you if you needed help, but I picked up my candy bar. I walked through to the self-service line, scanned it. It was $2, and it asked me if I wanted to leave a 20% tip or whatever. Wait a minute. Who helped me? No one. And was surprised. Did you see the recent PR by, I believe it's Domino's Pizza, what they've done. So if you are willing to give the driver a $3 tip, they will give you a $3 discount on your next pizza.
Oh, hey now.
Now, isn't that like cutting off the top of the blanket and sewing on the bottom of the blanket? I mean, I guess it doesn't cost. They're giving you $3 off the retail. It probably doesn't cost them $3.
I would take it. That's nice.
That's actually probably not a bad business proposition because it's not costing them $3.
Right.
Overall.
Well, I mean, they build that $3 into the price of the pizza, obviously, but they're also giving an incentive for you to take care of their driver who needs to make that money in order to make it worth their while to stay employed at Domino's or anywhere else for that matter.
Hey, Shep, we were talking about some of these fast food places where you walk in and there's a, what did you call it?
Kiosk.
A kiosk there.
Yes.
And which brings to the conversation about AI and customer service. Talk about where we're going with AI and customer service.
Where do you want to go? I mean, it's there. You can't avoid it. It's happening. I think
here's my question. Will it make prices less expensive? Will it make service better? Or you think we're in a transitionary period or we just don't know yet?
We're in a transitionary period, but the ideal situation is it's going to make it better. It's going to make it easier. It's going to simplify everything for the customer. On the other side, for the company, they're going to ideally get data about customers and transactions that are being made that they can start to help streamline and make their experience even better. For employees of a company, especially in a contact center, AI can now listen to a conversation that they're having with the customer. And when the customer asks a complicated question, AI can immediately send information to the customer service rep, who then can interpret that information and deliver to the customer with empathy, sympathy, concern, and at a level that the customer understands. So it's being used across both sides for internal purposes and for the customer on the outside.
But Shep, is it in reach for small business? Or is this big business we're talking about?
Well, here's the beautiful thing. 10 years ago, it would cost millions of dollars to do this. Today, it costs hundreds. You can get into a chat GPT type of product literally for, I mean, the subscription price on this, it's software as a service is very, very low. And then the interaction or transaction cost is fractions of a penny. So a small business could get into this for $100 a month.
I'm starting to see on storefronts, hashtag blue flag in support of Israel. I'm starting to see political stickers on the fronts and backs of taxi cabs and Uber drivers. Does what a company stands for cross over into customer service in your mind? Well,
I think it crosses into the desire to do business with the customer or with the company. And if you think about, let's just do the most basic thing. We do our annual survey, and we know that especially the younger generations, Gen Zs and millennials, love it when a company stands for something that they believe in. Most of the times, these are causes that are positive impacts to the community. It's not a political stance or a divisive situation such as happened over in.
Well, I mean, for example, these horrible college protests that are going on right now, and they're taking over buildings, destroying property, and it's just a horrible. It's just stupid. If someone were to say, on the outside of a business, what side of the fence they stand on there, I would argue that is an automatic loss of 50% of business.
Potentially it is, and that's the point. As long as the cause is something they stand for, if the cause is there and they don't stand for it, but it doesn't hurt anybody, it's like, hey, I believe that.
I understand free speech. I don't have a problem with free speech. When you start demolishing and throwing people off of buildings and stuff like that, that's where.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I think you have to be very careful. If you stand for something, if it's religious, if it's political, you are potentially creating a divide of customers that want to do business with you and don't.
If a small business, Shep, in your opinion, wanted to do one thing to improve customer service, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What do you think that would? What advice would you give them? Let's say it's a deli on the corner. What would you say?
So I would say, it really goes to the people you hire and how you train them. Yeah. And it's really that simple. I would also, if I had to give you something that was a little bit more tactical versus something, okay, great, hire and train the right people. Train them to understand that in that moment that they're interacting, they have this awesome responsibility of representing everybody else that works there and the banner, the brand that they stand for, because people walk away and say, I love doing business with them, which is often a single person.
And that does it for another episode of Guitar Corner with Shep Hyken. Thank you, Shep. See you next time, brother. Love you, man. I'll be back. How to get customers to come back again and again and again and again.
Did you know these kids that are having their graduation canceled?
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes, and they're the same kids that had graduation canceled because of COVID.
Yeah.
So they didn't have high school.
Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
Are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks. If we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyentgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Big Biz Show rolling along. As always, thank you for being along for the ride. Costa, Mary Burt Godwin, our executive producer, the always handsome Greg Todorov,
always.
and the even more handsome Sully.
Well, that's what I do. Hey, we are brought to you by Prudential. Let Prudential be your rock for retirement. Also brought to you by Bayer Advanced, Better Science, Better Result. Don't take it by mouth. It is fertilizer. Bayer Advanced is fertilizer.
I learned the hard way. Yeah.
Starbucks coffee. Mike's hopped up on some right now, and Mary's been snorting coffee all morning. Blooming Brands, their fine family of restaurants, including Carrabba's Italian Grill. You know, I love when two Carrabba's are next to each other, because who doesn't like a pair of Carrabba's? I didn't mean it like that. But, and also, Blooming Brands with Outback Steakhouse. Have you been to an Outback Steakhouse? I love Outback Steakhouse.
Me too.
It's the old Coco's to me.
Oh, I love
Coco's.
Do they have the blue cheese dressing like Coco's used to have?
Oh my God, do you remember that?
I do.
That was delicious. So we've been talking about customer service and about, you saw the Bill Burr clip earlier today about, he goes, I want to buy a sandwich. I'm the customer. You bring the sandwich. I pay for 100% of the sandwich. I want 100% of the sandwich. I'm not putting the mayo on it. I'm not the mayo guy.
Yeah.
It was a great, but it's true though. Okay, and places like Coco's had fantastic customer service.
The best.
Because, you know, they had Flo working on there was a different work ethic back then.
Absolutely.
And I believe,
and also employees that had been there like 10, 15.
but the point is though, I think, you know, COVID drove away the workforce somewhat.
Yeah.
But it gets to a point that's ridiculous with the tip thing we were talking about also. But the customer service thing, for me, and I've talked about this before with Shep, is that I still kills me. And I lock my doors. If I pull up to a valet and Trish is in the side and we pull up and the guy opens my car first, open my door. You have lost, first of all, half your tip. Get her first, you jackwagon.
Always.
Right? I mean, it's just, and I believe that the CEOs of these companies believe that there is a seamless customer service experience from the front door all the way up to the jacuzzi or Greg's.
It's really not.
Unless you're doing undercover boss, a lot of them have no clue.
Don't you wish? Have you ever secretly wished you go? Hi, I happen to be the lead investor in this company. I'd like to have.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I have done before? This is like total. This is such a douche move, but I've done this before. I have looked at the receipt, and says XYZ company, store number 7032.
Yeah.
And I'll just go, no, I'm at 7032 right now. No, we gotta talk. I've done that.
Oh, that's
and it changes everything. I recall when Trish is a global services member on a certain airline. I mean, she flies so much that she's like if she's late, they'll take her across the tarmac in a car.
Oh man, see, I want to get there.
One time, she rarely does it. She's never only done this. She's only done this one time. She miscalculated what time we had to leave the house at the airport, and realized we left 20 minutes late, and they were boarding in 10 minutes. I said, "Call Global Services." She called. Well, first she said, she called Global Services. They called the gate. Hold up, we have a Global Services member coming in. Turns out, when you start boarding, you got literally 40 minutes before you leave.
Easily,
right?
Right.
But they didn't have to hold anything. But they were willing to hold the plane for her until she got there.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
So I recall one time we were flying, got on the plane. I don't get to fly. I don't fly that much. So I'm like, Mr. Global Services, hey, how are you? Good to see you. I mean, I'm even more douchey than I am like in public when somebody recognizes me for TV or music. I like, oh, hi, how are you? I'm super nice. But on stuff like that, it's like, do you know who she is? Yeah. So I remember her getting on there, and this lady was like, hey, can I get a water? And we were flying to somewhere several hours. I'm sorry, we don't do water until we take off. We're sitting up in the leathers.
Yeah.
You know what up in the leathers mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sitting up in the leathers, first class.
Yeah.
And she knows how to play this. Because she knows, I don't know what's going on. I'm about ready to kill somebody.
Right.
Because they all, protect the world from you.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. When women protect the world from the men. Like, just chill. The lady walks up and you see them, they're going through the meal thing before they take off. And all of a sudden it is, oh, well, hello. I got you. I pulled some strings. I'm like,
oh.
So when you asked, they wouldn't bring it to
Yeah,
you. When
exactly.
we asked, it was okay.
We thought you asked for tap
But
water.
don't you
I'm sorry.
wish, have you ever had a situation where you wish you could say, have you ever done anything like that where it's like, Mike's like, hi, Mike Costa, want to talk to your manager?
Flashed his badge.
Hi there. Can we get a camera? Can we get a camera crew here?
Sure, that's a library card.
You've had that pretty ready. You must pull that out frequently.
I never pull that out, actually.
I mean, that was just.
No, do you know why?
Yeah,
No,
I did.
let me tell you how this works.
It was like
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
switchblade in
Yeah,
his
it was.
It's the
That's right.
It's the last card.
That's right.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's the last one.
Okay.
So that's the last one.
Okay.
Because this is.
It was still pretty swift. Did everyone catch it?
Well, because look at this. It's the wallet. Boom.
Yeah.
Hi. How are you? Hi.
Yeah.
We were, Toph, my son, was probably 7 or 8, and my father-in-law, who's a retired rear admiral.
And now Toph is by the way 7 or 8 feet.
Yeah, pretty much. His company was General Atomics ASI. They made the Predator drone. And so he arranged for this big tour of the Midway one Saturday morning. And so we got there, and we were just kind of shuffling along. No one knew really who we were, and Toph was kind of asking me questions. And one of the people in the group turns and says, "You're going to need to keep him quiet so the rest of us can hear." And I said, "I'm so sorry."
Wait, one of the other people getting the tour?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I said, "I am so sorry. I will make sure that I apologize to my father-in-law, Admiral Cassidy, when I get home if your tour was ruined." And it was just like white.
See, and the thing is, like, I don't like to pull
hey,
that, but every
please
once in a while,
bring him up to the front. And it was just.
I don't expect special treatment. Here's what it comes down to. And I think companies, and the reason this is a business topic is I think companies need to realize that I think we're all tired of paying for something and not getting it.
Yes.
I mean,
That's the bottom line.
Don't you guys feel like the way where like it's just I'm not. You go to a grocery store, you get your service on something. But we're talking about service stuff. If I'm paying for something, I don't want special treatment. I don't want to have any. I just want to know that I'm getting what I'm paying for.
Yes.
And look, and the only thing about that global services thing is I just want a glass of water. I want a thing of water. That was
It should be easy for them to just.
It's just
get
a
you
water.
They're supposed to ask you.
And the funny, and I think the moral of the story is that she didn't do it. She said, "Just shut down. I'll figure it out." And they did figure it out to their benefit. But it's just, it always seems to start. It seems to me, why start with the negative, or why? Because there's just some people behind the register that it's called. It's not Schadenfreude. It's something else. Schadenfreude is taking pleasure,
Taking joy in someone else's
pain.
pain.
But they are so happy. I'm sorry, we can't do. Could you put your mask on as you're putting your mask on?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah,
Remember those guys when you were like literally? I had to like take a bite and then, right? And it's like I'm on the way. I'm like upswing. Put your mask on. I just want to put this mask on.
Okay, so I want to tell you about when I was at a restaurant recently, and we asked.
What kind of restaurant?
It was just an outdoor. It was a high-low. It was in Oceanside, outdoor patio, really nice, gorgeous view. You know, medium prices on the menu, and the waiter was a young guy, probably in his early 20s. And the gal I was with said, "Do you know if this salad has cashews on it or whatever?" She asked. And the guy, the waiter said, "Oh, I don't know." and then he just stopped. He literally just stopped.
But isn't that labor pool? Listen.
And we stared at him like.
But listen, in his defense, first of all, he's in his defense, he's the only guy that was left to hire. The labor pool is small and stuff like that.
That was 4 years
but
ago.
the business did not train him, correct?
I mean, you have to know that menu. It's not like an Olive Garden menu or
like I always say,
Cheesecake Factory menu.
Hyken for president.
Right.
Come on, let's go.
Yeah,
right.
All right, Big Biz Show. I will tell you, my first year in radio, my partner and I, in the first year in radio, we used to talk about this coffee place called Panickin here. And we used to say, you were either a nice guy or a cranky Panickin barista. Those are the two categories
Gelato
of people.
in El Indio is the same. If you've been gelato, it's the same way.
Oh, yeah.
You have to be snooty and rude to work there, I think.
You ever get intimidated going to a butcher shop counter to talk about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I start getting the
Yeah.
scary.
That's not why you have the shakes on, Mike. Listen.
Yeah.
See you in a minute.
Yep. And we continue on the Big Biz Show. Thanks a lot, everybody, for being along for the ride so far today. Appreciate you. Wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. Mike Costa right here. Yeah, you're welcome, America. Mary Burt Godwin, Greg Todoroff, and the man right there, Sully. Rolling along.
I may or may have not had onion powder.
I was wondering what that was.
Oh. Did you say Funyun powder?
Funyun. Well,
You bought some last
well, it's just like, no, there's no Funyun powder. There is onion powder, but you have to have
You're
salt
right.
to it.
You're right.
It's like garlic salt. You have onion salt.
Okay.
Fantastic. I challenge you to go and take a steak, a filet, put simply garlic salt and pepper on it. A pan hot as the sun, 3 minutes.
Sear it in.
Flip it down, put it in the broiler, 3 minutes. Put a piece of foil on for 3 minutes. Best thing you have, garlic salt. No magic voodoo crap, although Funyun powder.
I was going to say, you might be onto something right there.
There you go. Hey, listen, Brian Kobel's with us, or Kobel. See, Greg, you screwed around. His name's Brian Kobel, but Greg calls him Kobel because Brian's saying it wrong.
He's not a champagne.
Is it?
Brian, it's Kobel, knucklehead. Brian Kobel is the CEO of TC Biopharm Holdings, stock symbol TCBP. Brian, I can't help you, man. Listen, I've tried, but Greg has now screwed me up. What's up, brother? Great to see you in Glasgow, Scotland.
You know, if you don't think Funyun powder is magic voodoo powder, you and I might be disagreeing.
No, I do think it is. Listen.
It is. It is. It's absolutely.
You can grind
it's
the
incredible.
Funyun.
It's like Jim Gaffigan says, bibbity bobbity bacon.
Yes.
Right? If you had bacon and Funyun powder on top of a freaking fillet, are you kidding me? Are you getting misty? Are you tearing up?
You guys continue, please.
Mike's tearing up. Brian, listen, I'm going to let you take this away in this segment because you have so many good things going that I don't even want to lead you on the question. Just give us an update from the last time we talked because TC Biopharm, there's multiple diseases you guys are dealing with here, but you've had a lot of good stuff on the business side also. Talk about it.
Yeah, you know, we took an M&A approach that we talked about last time around are there assets we can pick up? And what I think we've seen is the industry is really reacting to that. And we've signed 2 non-binding LOIs to date. One of them for some CAR NK assets, which expand the portfolio. We believe natural killer cells and gamma delta cells play really, really well together, and that's sort of proven scientifically. And then we recently announced a non-binding LOI for another company that expands our CAR expertise in not just alpha betas, but gamma delta cells. So now we're in solid tumors, we're in blood cancer, we're in autoimmune. It's really exploding. And I'm frankly surprised, even, you know, having set it up.
Well, keep in mind, though, Brian, remember last year for biotech and biopharma was horrible. 2023, actually part of 2022 was horrible in terms of even at the JP Morgan Chase conference this year for biopharma, they basically said, good times are here coming, but don't expect to raise any money for the first quarter of 2024, which is exactly what happened. Is most of these, and the problem is, when you invest in a biopharma firm, it's a venture capital deal. A venture capital deal is typically a 7 years exit. Sometimes a private equity will come in the midway, which is sort of a venture capital play, and give a partial exit. But biopharma is a long soak, as they say. And I'll tell you what, you said, screw that. you raise money, you're able to do. Mike, do you know what M&A is, by the way?
No, I don't.
I thought you'd at least try.
I know what M&Ms are, but I don't.
Mergers and acquisitions.
Oh, well, okay.
So let me tell you what the M&A strategy is. Acquisition strategy is, like, for example, when Intel or Google buys a company that they either do business with or a competitor to put them out of business.
Yep.
But they buy them, and then those assets go into the company. So the idea is high speed, low drag. In other words, get a lot of assets, no debt. Brian is probably oversimplifying that, but something that it's a value add to the company.
Really accurate. I have a friend, his uncle made a bunch of money doing this, and it's kind of the way he did it is sort of how I would compare what we're doing. He used to buy huge swaths of land, and they would clear the trees, build it out into very nice acred plots, and then we'd call Toll Brothers and say, hey, Toll Brothers, come buy our land.
Toll Brothers
and drop your houses on top.
So
all we're doing is setting up for Toll Brothers, meaning large pharma. We're buying all these assets, we'll advance them along, and in 24, 36 months, we're going to have tons of clinical data and multiple cell therapies. Immuno-oncology will come back around, immune therapy will come back around, and we're prime positioned to be acquired.
So the Toll Brothers, stock symbol TOL, Toll Brothers was a publicly traded company, is a publicly traded company as a builder. And they built master plan communities in the 90s and just killed it. If you owned Toll back then, it was like owning Apple.
Oh.
No, it was killer. And they did it with an acquisition strategy, which was just insane, to where you're not really, you're making more money on your profit and loss statement and on your books just by picking up somebody else. So suddenly now your asset base doubles. And what's the first thing that happens when you get acquired? CEO like Brian walks in, and he says hi to every new customer they just acquired, number one. Number two, trims the fat. That's why you always see an acquisition, some people getting out of there. And number three, execute the business plan. And that's how you're doing it. Hey, talk about the rest of the year in terms of drugs and therapies, in terms of FDA and where we're at in terms of timing, because everything seems to be thumbs up, working in the right direction there.
Yeah, forgetting the assets we're acquiring, the core asset TCB008 is going gangbusters. So post the MHRA approving and accepting our amendment, we've restarted the trial. We expect to dose the first patient in the second cohort, so the subsequent 14 patients, probably before the end of May, which means we're on track to announce data in that trial in Q4 of this year at the latest. We're expecting QMUL, proof of concept in the antifungal in Q3, if not, right before Q3, which means we'd be on track for an antifungal trial and to be accepted Q4 and to launch Q1 2025. So, TCB008 is just out there killing it. And, we're in a great place with the core assets. And then on top of that, all these other assets that are coming on board for us, it's kind of crazy to me. Like I look at sort of the profile of the company today from a market cap perspective, and it's pretty clear investors are missing the message, right? Which is you're talking about, this is the beginning of the next Regeneron, the next PureTech, the next Ligand.
Well, but I would argue,
you're seeing your front row seat.
I would argue, though, and we don't talk about share price and such on this program, but I will tell you, your share price has done well this year.
Oh, it has.
And I'll tell you, but as far as people missing the message, you have to remember, though, they're coming off of that big nut-filled you-know-what that was sitting in the front yard called Biopharm last year. And now we've cleaned it up, and we're fine. Brian, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Brian Kobel.
Thanks, guys.
Kobel,
appreciate it.
Brian calls it, but what does he know? That does it for us. Big Biz Show. We'll see you tomorrow.